Okay, so we have another edition of a festival edition of the Chi Life podcast. So there's going to be a bit of ambient noise around again because that's what you get at festivals, but it's a pretty fun sort of an atmosphere.
Yeah,
I'm here with
absolutely.
Kirstin Governor, and she is a fire performer, and she also runs the flow dance. It's flow dance.
Fire circles?
Oh, so she facilitates a lot of the fire circles at many of the festivals, including this one, and then you run a festival which is called
Flow camp.
Flow Camp.
Flow
Flow
camp.
Dance, Flow Camp.
Yeah.
So she runs a festival which is all about this sort of thing. So at a lot of these festivals, there'll be a space where there are performers spinning different things around on fire, which is quite fun to watch and quite fun to do.
Yeah.
But she runs a festival that is all just about that. So not just a little piece of it, but the whole thing. So interesting topic for us to talk about, and its connection to, as you know, the channel, it's called Chi Life, so energy in our lives, and there's definitely an interesting energy to working with fire and dancing with fire. So Kirsten, can you maybe just start by telling us a little bit about yourself, maybe where you're from and what first got you into working with fire spinning and fire dancing?
The fire element. Okay, so I got into fire about nearly 3 years ago now, and yeah, it's been a massive part of my life since.
massive.
Yeah.
So about 3 years ago.
About 3
And
years ago.
what was the first thing that attracted you to that? What sort of made you go like, oh, I'll give that a try? Or
So I met I didn't have anything to do with it. I think I saw fire dancing once, and I was like, wow, I've always been really drawn to the fire element. Met my partner, and he'd been amongst Circus Kumarani and been like performing a bit. He'd been doing it for about 7 years, and yeah, just a lot of beach time, a lot of fire, and just went deep.
well, it sounds like you must have dived pretty deep to go from 3 years ago to now running a whole festival based around that.
Yeah. I think in Kirsten fashion, like take it.
You go from 0 to 100 pretty quickly.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's something that I'm so passionate about and so passionate about sharing. Yeah.
And so what is it that makes you passionate about it? What do you get out of it? What does it do for you?
It fills me up, like the energy of flow state and tapping into that, and then like at the start you're getting little glimmers of it, you know, like, and then it gets a little bit more and a little bit more, and you can sink in a little bit and, you know, drop in a little bit deeper each time. And it's where I process a lot of life,
Okay.
you know. Flow state is so powerful.
Right. So for anyone who's not familiar, flow state is a term that's used about quite a few different things. It's this idea of everything, well, flowing. That it's when you have the right amount of challenge, that it engages you, and then everything works together, and in that things can happen, things can open up, new ways can develop for you.
Neurological pathways.
Yes.
That's right. And
yeah. So some people work towards flow state through like meditation practices, things like that. For you,
so it's definitely
fire dancing.
My active meditation.
Active meditation.
It's where I process life. Yeah. Any issues, everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what is it about the fire dancing that you find for you particularly helps you to enter into a flow state?
Fire is so mesmerizing, you know, and it's something that you can, it's one of our elements, you know, and it's something that you can really tap into, and it burns things away and it opens things up.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the question?
So the quality of the fire itself. Yeah, so the question was, what is it about fire dancing that really gets you into a flow state? What do you find about it that brings you into a flow state?
Yeah, so for me, I suppose it's like two separate things, like the flow and it not being on fire, and then the when you are having a burn, it just, there's something magical in that, and it just draws you in and gives you energy. It gives me, and I see it with a lot of my friends too, and just so much energy.
Okay, so two different parts, because of course fire dancing
Yeah.
use all sorts of different props, different.
Yeah.
I'll get some footage of this later on tonight, so that I can put some footage in here,
Yeah,
and people
cool.
can see people spinning different things around. But there's like long sticks, and there's rope darts. Some of you might have seen a rope dart before, but
Yeah.
it'll
Rope
be on
darts,
fire. So it's a
definitely my
rope with
main
something
prop.
on the end.
Yeah.
And sword-like things, and all sorts of different things, and people spin them around and move with them. Poi,
Dragon stuff.
Dragon
Yeah.
stuff. Dragon stuff's a pretty cool, interesting one.
Yeah.
So lots of different props. I'll get some footage of that I can put on the video here. And of course, you can do all of that without it being on fire.
Yeah,
You can spin them
absolutely.
around and make them move. They don't have to be on fire. So there's that aspect of just getting the movement, but then the fire brings something else as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's two. I find it two very different practices. Yeah.
But then they combine.
But then they're combined as well. Yeah.
Right.
It's sort of a merge.
It reminds me a little bit of some years ago. I did a bit of tree climbing, just one of those things. Yeah. And there's something about, because of course there's a branch. If a branch or a piece of wood is close to the ground, and you just walk over it, no big deal. Yeah. But there's something about being really high in the air.
Yeah, I've done a bit of arborist work. I'm a landscaper by trade.
So okay, yeah. And
absolutely.
that just brings a whole different level of focus and presentness to the experience, because like you have to be here and now.
So when you're on fire, there's that safety aspect to it. There's that you have to be like super present and in yourself, it really centered and present, and yeah.
And then there's the elemental quality of the fire itself, which is, it has this really primal thing in a couple of ways. One, like you said, it burns things, it clears things, it brings energy.
It can transmute anything.
Yeah, melting
everything.
Metal and refining it and all sorts of things.
We've used fire for as long as we've been in this human realm.
Yeah.
And that's, so ceremony, to cook, to, for warmth, it's so in us all.
And there's that
generational
primal connection to, just sitting around a fire.
Yes.
And just looking at the fire, feeling the fire.
What brings people together.
And fire dancing generally is a pretty communal thing.
Absolutely.
It'd be pretty not that common to go and just spin on fire, but you'll practice the movement by yourself a lot, but not so common to actually light it up so much.
Yeah, maybe not so common for people that are just getting started, but for me, I suppose for me, when I first started, I've been very shy throughout my life, and this was my path that I was supposed to go on to overcome that. So about a year and a half in, I was always just by myself doing it.
Okay.
Or I couldn't spin at a festival or in a group of people. It would only be in those 3 people that I was comfortable with. And then I suppose because you're using it as your active meditation, and it's so raw, that's so primal and raw.
Maybe feels a little bit exposing in a way.
Vulnerable, yeah. So then to take that out into the big bad world was massive for me. Absolutely. And so fires helped me in that journey of my introvert self, you know, like exposing myself, you know, exposing all those vulnerabilities, even though, because it comes from so deep down. Yeah.
Well, one of the primary qualities of fire. So I teach qigong. People watching the channel probably mainly know this.
Yeah.
So within that, we work with different elements in terms of energy in qigong. One of the primary qualities of fire is that it's expansive. It opens outwards. So working with fire, it's natural to expand and open. It sounds like that's been something that's happened for you.
Definitely. And then, like, not long after, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do a thing, and I'm gonna have a spin. And after every spin in front of people, I'd be shaking, and you know, my face would be all hot, and yeah. So it was a really big journey.
Okay.
And then, not long after that, I was asked to perform. And what? Like, pardon? that was a that
And
was
so
massive.
where did you first perform?
So I first performed at the Northern Lights Festival.
Okay.
And it was just a solo. Like, it was actually I did the choreograph for that, and I had one solo and 4 shows every 30 minutes. So yeah,
So every 30 minutes you were doing another show.
So no, it was like one after the other, and I was in most of the sequences.
Oh, okay.
But then the last one was like by myself, and I remember, like, I think it was the second night, and it was the 3rd show, and I felt like I nailed it, you know, and just the tears of joy and expansion, and yeah, it really unlocked and tapped into something that was massive.
Ah, cool. Yeah. So now, because we did talk about this beforehand.
Yeah.
So you have a performing name. What's your performing name?
Mystic Flame Burning Issue _ Burning Issues.
Mystic Flame Burning Issues. Interesting name. So
Yeah.
I guess, are there some videos of your performances around?
Yep, on Instagram. I haven't put actually much videos up on there. But
okay.
Yeah, there's lots of photos and.
I was just wondering if people look at Mystic Flame Burning Issues, they might see you. They might see you spinning a little bit, get an idea of what you do.
Yeah.
So it sounds like for you, a big part of what the fire dancing has done for you is it's sort of opened you up, helped you to open and release and share your energy a bit more.
Yeah.
Is there sort of some other aspects of what the fire dancing has done for you?
Oh, it's done so much. So I think fire and flow. So probably about 18 months ago, I gave up drinking.
Oh, okay. Probably not a good idea to spin things on fire when you've been drinking.
Yeah. But that has been a massive help in that journey.
Mm-hmm.
I probably wouldn't have been able to do it if it wasn't for fire and flow.
Okay, cool. That's pretty massive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
it was a big,
very cool.
Journey. Yeah.
Very cool.
Being able to, because I, used to go out and dance. I was brought up in that club culture. Used to go out and dance intoxicated, but have to be like intoxicated before you'd go out.
Yeah.
To feel comfortable and free and all of that sort of thing, and so that was where I was at.
And it was pretty ingrained.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's quite a common thing for quite a few people. That's just the culture. That's what they expect. That's just normal. That's what everyone else around them does. Yeah. I think that's one of the really cool things about festivals like this, is that, it's no alcohol, no drugs at the festival, and so people, people discover that they don't need that
Yeah,
to have fun, enjoy themselves,
Have
whether
fun.
that be through fire dancing or through the other things. Realize like, hey,
Like-
I can socialize, I can enjoy
you can
life. I
get
don't.
so high
Yeah.
off these things, you know.
Yeah,
You don't need anything else.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? So you said there's a bunch of things.
Bunch of things. So yeah, that community.
Yeah.
Oh, our community in Whangarei, like throughout New Zealand, is just what a tribe, you know. And it's just brought us all closer together, and like just that community love and respect and coming together and doing some. It's so amazing what you can achieve in community.
Yeah. These sorts of things are often, well, particularly at the festivals, they're quite a collective sort of an effort, aren't they? Where people all come together and contribute different things to make it happen.
Takes a tribe to create a vibe.
Yeah, for sure. And so how often would the community get together to fire dance?
So we get together every Friday from 6:30 at the Kamo War Memorial Hall.
So this is in Whangarei?
This is in
You
Whangarei.
mentioned Whangarei before, so that's because there'll be lots of people from overseas who won't have a clue where that is. For people in New Zealand, they'll have an idea. It's a couple of hours north of Auckland.
And that's put on by a good friend, Dion. His name's Fire Frenzy.
Fire Frenzy.
His
okay.
business name is Fire Frenzy, and he does such an incredible job of like prop making and does so much for our community. Yeah.
So he makes and sells the props to
Yeah.
people who need different gear and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Sounds like maybe someone I should get in touch with. I haven't done much of this sort of thing myself. I've done a little bit, and I have a rope dart that
Oh yes.
it's got a really thick Kevlar rope on it though, which is like really awkward.
Yeah.
And I've been seeing some of the ones you guys have been using with a much thinner rope, and it's like,
Is
oh, that'll
a
be so
lot
much easier to use.
Yeah. You do get a bit of rope burn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm used to a thinner rope from an actual rope dart, like as a weapon.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I've done a
Really?
bit of that.
Oh, wow.
And it's like,
that's so
and then I
cool.
try to do the stuff with a flaming one, and it's like, oh, this is so awkward with this
Yeah.
big thick rope, you know?
We'll sort that out. Definitely. Yeah. And also Leo Wong makes
Leo Wong?
some beautiful props. Yeah.
Ah, cool.
Yeah.
Great. All right.
Yeah.
So now you've got so far into it that you now run Flow Camp.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about that? So you did, the first one was, well, it's still this year. We're not next year yet. So beginning of this year you did one. You've got another one coming up next year. Tell us a bit about that.
So we ran Flow Camp in February this year.
Yeah.
And yeah, we were. So I have family land just 20 minutes south of Whangarei.
Mm-hmm.
And we were all down there after New Year's last year. And we were just spinning the whole time. And sorry, there's just some kids over here.
Oh,
Pardon? With the marshmallows? Yeah. Can we just hang on a second? Give us a little bit, okay? Yeah. Thank you.
that's cool. They're into it.
Yeah. 80, I think his name is. He came
yes.
for a spin last night. He was so intrigued. He said, come over here. I'll give you a prop to play with. Now he's got it. He's
So
got
you
the
said
bag.
with marshmallows, not
Oh,
actual
so
marshmallows.
marshmallows are normally a thing for the kids that just has one end on fire.
Ah, okay.
And it's like really safe. And they
And
can
so they can wave
they
it
can just wave
around
it
and-
around and write their names, like a sparkler essentially.
Okay. So it's got, I guess it looks a bit like a marshmallow because it's got a bundle of
It's got a
Kevlar on
wick.
the end.
Yeah. And then it's got it's a wick on a stick.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Like a flaming marshmallow that just burns for a lot longer than a normal one would.
Yeah. That's the one. Yeah, they love it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So where was I at?
We were starting to talk about Flow Camp. You said that after New Year's, some friends were hanging out and doing lots of spinning on your land.
So on my property, our property, you go down this big cutting and into this unreal patch of paradise, and it's got streams running through, and it's just such a magical little spot. And we were all down there after New Year's and just flowing the whole time. And one of my friends said, "Man, we need to do a festival here." And then I was saying, "Oh, I wonder what we'd call it." And then he's like, Dan, he's like, "Well, we need to call it Flow Camp." And yeah, that just began from there. And
so
then
in
we
the very next month.
And then we had, yeah.
That didn't take long from idea to execution.
Yeah. So we had like a month to organise this festival. So it's we like to cap it. That one was capped at like 120. And this time we're capping it at 200 to be able to really tap in and create that family vibe, tribe vibe. And so that happened. Yeah. And now we're doing another one. So for me, Flow Camp, when I started spinning, there wasn't very many people that shared their techniques and their skills and stuff like that. So it was YouTube. Yeah. It's hard on YouTube because the person's normally, it's a mirror, right? Yeah. So you're not on the same, you can't really see what they're doing unless you get a really good.
And also no feedback, because sometimes you think you're doing what's happening on the video and you don't realize you're doing something different. But someone actually looking at you can go, oh, actually you do a little bit this way, and you might find it easier.
In my lounge, I have a big mirror and a TV over here and over to the right. So I can put a tutorial on the TV, and then I can see myself. Then I can see myself at the same time. But that's it. It's tricky.
But easier if someone's right there in person.
Yeah, absolutely. And that community, when you come together and there's like lots of you doing the same thing, and then there's other people that are more advanced, and there's other people that are, so we all bring each other up. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
And teaching as well, like. I've like really found that's a massive passion of mine, being able to teach this art form and seeing other people, like that glitter in people's eyes when they first get something just fills me up so much. And then when they have their first burn, and then getting to experience that and being a part of that, So backtrack. That's why I wanted to start Flow Camp, was because people are scared of fire too, and oh my gosh, I have to do it on fire, and I don't want to do it in front, and I know that on such a deep level. So being in a real supportive community setting, and all that love, all that aroha, and being able to awhi people and bring it all together,
and when you do that, when you have the right safety precautions in place, and when people have the right understanding, it doesn't have to be that dangerous. You have to be careful, you have to be present, you have to be aware.
Absolutely.
But it can be done in a safe way.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. And that's a big thing that by doing these festivals and stuff, we do a safety briefing for anyone that wants to spin that night. Everybody has to attend that wants to spin. We have a team of 14, so 14 performers and safety, but normally they all can do both, you know, like everybody can do both. And so we have 2 safety on at a time, one for the dipping station and to dip the props in the fuel, and the other one just focused on the fire circle and making sure people don't catch a light, or they've got the fire blankets and we've got the fire extinguisher, and talk about like longevity of props, blowing it out when you get the flickery blue flame,
Yeah.
and then 2-second dipping.
Better to blow out than to fade away.
Yeah. 2-second dipping so that the fuel called Pegasol is not going into the land because it's really, really toxic for papatuanoki, you know.
Okay, yeah.
So
you don't get drips or spraying everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and there's big safety around it, and we need to be spreading that aspect to it as well, not just for us, but for the whenua as well.
Yeah. So whenua means land.
Oh yeah, sorry, all of it. Yeah,
no, it's fine. It's interesting. There's a lot of things we take for granted, like being in New Zealand, in terms of just understanding some little pieces of Maori culture and language, and we're just like, yeah, of course. And to a purely New Zealand audience, you'd be like, you just say it. But it's interesting, as I've been interviewing different people, some of them are from overseas, but locals, and people bring things up, and I'm like,
I wonder if
an international audience wouldn't know what we're talking about. Maybe it's better mention that.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So you see people light up when they get their own opportunity to spin and burn.
Energy,
Have you seen any other sort of cool things, or can you think of any examples of a difference it's made in some other people you've had contact with?
Oh, so many on the same sort of things of what I've touched on in myself.
Mm-hmm.
Just that, like, people opening up in it with the fire element and coming into themselves and being able to express.
Yeah. Very cool. And that all connects really strongly to how we think about the fire element in a qigong perspective as well.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
So,
I love that.
I guess interesting for people who are watching. If you feel like your fire element needs a bit of support or strength, this could be a different way for you to work with it.
Absolutely.
You could get into some fire dancing, quite a different way for you to strengthen your fire element.
I suppose that's my way of tapping into, because it's my active meditation, it's my flow state, and it's a way of tapping into source. It's a way of connecting to my higher self. It's a way of connecting with the earth. That's my ritual. That's my practice.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I think it's wonderful. There's so many different ways that we can work with our energy and engage with life, engage with the environment around us.
And so many people are doing it in so many different ways, and then to like jump over there and do it in other people's ways and think, wow, this is amazing, and then
and then find what is your thing.
And or have as many as you want.
Well, that's true. Yeah, it doesn't have to be just one.
You don't have to stop at one, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
but the ones that resonate with you, because
absolutely.
we're all different, and we all have different things that really call us and provide us what we need.
Yeah, and in saying that too, like, we've been doing some ceremonial work lately with fire.
Mm-hmm.
So summer solstice, me and a good friend, Katie Greengrass, summer solstice and new moon. So we went out, we set up a lush spot out at the beach. So we had all of the elements.
Nice.
And we did some fire meditation, tapped it, because the sun, fire is our sun on earth. It's what we can get close to.
Yeah.
That sun energy. We did some yoga, we did some meditation, we did a dance, we had a aesthetic dance, and then we spun some fire, and then we went for a swim, and there was the phosphorescence.
Oh, really? Oh,
and
how cool.
Wow, it was so beautiful. What a magical night. So it was like there was about 5 of us swimming, and every time we swum through and all the phosphorescence was all around us, it looked like the Milky Way, and the connection,
mirroring
yeah,
between what was in the water and what was in the sky above.
Oh my gosh,
That's so cool.
So
you
yeah,
don't see that sort of bioluminescence often around here, so how cool.
Yeah, it was really beautiful. But yeah, trying to bring it up into more of a practice and getting people to tap into that part as well.
Okay.
And to understand like more around the fire element and what we're actually doing here.
And how that connects with the other elements and the environment.
Yeah.
And so I guess that's something you're planning to develop further as you keep
Absolutely.
on this path?
Yeah. I'm working on some pretty cool stuff. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So is there anything else you'd like to tell us about fire dancing or about Flow Camp before we wrap things up today?
So just, if you want to delve deeper in or start out, find your nearest fire tribe, and like all around the world, it's a really beautiful tribe. Yeah. There's also, can I plug another podcast?
Yeah, of course, you can plug whoever you want.
The Art of Flow.
Art of Flow
goes deep into a lot of the things that I've touched on, and that's a beautiful podcast to listen to.
Okay, another podcast, cool.
Yeah,
great.
And they're based overseas, but circus and fire dancing is
very cool.
Pretty cool community.
So I'll put you have a Facebook page for Flow Camp, so we'll put a link to that in the description. So if you're if you're around New Zealand, you might be interested, or you've only got 200 spaces. I don't
know. So for this year, I think we've got 60 tickets left, and they'll sell out pretty fast from here on in. And
but it's a good way.
Definitely.
If people are able to attend, awesome.
Absolutely.
Or otherwise, it's a good way if you just want to keep in touch and see what other things you do in the future. I imagine you'll post things up there.
Absolutely, that'd be amazing.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, thank you very much, Kirsten. A really interesting discussion, a different angle on working with energy and how that impacts our life. I'm sure people will really enjoy it.
Thank you very much, John. This has been great.